What's going on, everybody? It's My Nerdy Universe here with another podcast episode on Spider-Man 2018 and Miles Morales. Now, I have a collab coming at you with WebHead here. I've been promoting this for a while, so here he is.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. I'm glad to see you on here. So, like I said, we're going to be talking about Spider-Man 2018. So, I have recently been replaying this game a ton, just, to prep for the podcast, but also to prep for Marvel Spider-Man 2. What were your first thoughts now with the game being 5 years old? What are your first thoughts on how the game has really aged?
I just honestly, I never really expected to come this far. It's been 5 years, and I've been replaying it too every now and then.
Yeah.
Um, Gosh, when I was little playing it, well, not like little, I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, but I get what you mean, man.
Yeah, I never expected a new game to come out, and I thought that was just it, and it has just sparked into this awesome trilogy.
Which is
Oh,
great,
yeah.
we when we were younger, we saw this game as like, oh my god, we get to play as like our favorite comic book character for the first
Yeah.
time. With the suits that we got. Like, I don't know, did you get the digital deluxe?
No, I never got the digital deluxe, but
So
I always wanted it.
I got it, which was nice, but I like how they did the digital deluxe for Spider-Man 2 because that is actually something you can purchase like offhand. The
Right.
digital deluxe for Spider-Man 2018 wasn't really, kind of, in my opinion, a digital deluxe because you got everything in the digital deluxe, like, anyways, in the game. You just, if you paid the extra few dollars, which I did, you got the skins like right away instead of like grinding it out.
Huh.
So, which is
That's not really a deluxe. That's just a shortcut.
basically, I basically paid for a shortcut. But at the time, I didn't really see it as that. I saw it as, oh my god, like, I can be the Spider-Man immediately, and it's gonna be so like, I think I mained the MCU Iron Spider suit for a while because I think Endgame had, no, not Endgame, but Infinity War had just come out like that year. So I was like,
Yes,
dude, this
dude.
looks so sick. Looking back on it, that suit sucks in game.
Absolutely. No, it was absolutely horrible. I used to play it all the time too, and I had a thing where I had to match the suit with the abilities. It's
Yes.
like I couldn't just have the Iron Spider arms without the Iron Spider suit. So
Yeah.
even if I didn't like the suit, I still used the suit to use the ability because I'm just that weird. Um,
Yeah.
I rocked the original one most of the time. I don't know why.
Hmm.
Um, like just like the classic suit that you build that was like damaged when you fight Kingpin.
Yeah.
The
So
repaired version of that. I just
that
love that
suit,
one.
I felt like, looked 10 times better than the advanced suit. And
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember this, but the advanced suit in the original Marvel Spider-Man
it
game,
was orange.
yeah, thank you.
It
Nobody seems
was
to point
orange.
that
It
out
wasn't
anymore.
red.
It was orange. It wasn't red. It was red in cutscenes, and then when you played it for real, it was orange.
It was,
Why?
yeah, I don't know why they did that. I am so glad they fixed that in Spider-Man 2.
Yes, because now it's actually red.
It's a very dark, well, not very dark. It's a darker, nice, like more visually appealing red.
Yeah, it's like a bolder red, and I
Right.
like that. It really stands out, and you really see that red, which shouldn't be something I should ask for as a Spider-Man fan.
Exactly.
I don't know.
So
That guy,
I mean, there were aspects of the 2018 game that felt a little rushed, like hence his suit being orange, um, and like the digital deluxe.
yeah. What was another thing that was kind of rushed? It was, oh wait, what was it? I'm trying to think. I didn't like some of the side abilities, not the suit abilities, but like the side abilities that you unlock with like tokens that like the three, you know what I'm talking about? I don't know
Oh,
what
the
they're
three
called.
categories like web slinger, defender, stuff like
I
like
didn't
like
like the
that.
skill tree.
Yeah,
I think it was very small.
it was.
And the thing I'm worried about with Spider-Man 2 is that it's going to be the same way, but I hope it's a bit bigger because what I've heard is that Peter's supposed to get his own skill tree, Miles is supposed to get his own skill tree,
Well,
and
obviously.
and then you're supposed to have a combined skill tree, and that's supposed to make up the three skill trees. And I'm like, if that's the case, I'm
That
gonna
just
max
dwindles
those
it.
skill trees out so fast
Right.
because I don't
I'm,
see them being big.
yeah, no, like I don't know much about the skill trees in the new upcoming game. I
Yeah,
try to know as little as possible because
hey,
I
I
don't
get
really
that, man.
want it spoiled. But all I know was like I if you like really like grinded in 2018, like the skill tree was done in like a day. Like
Oh, 100%. I mean,
it
I think
wasn't fun.
I completed Spider-Man 2018 like the story that weekend.
Yeah.
That weekend on
Well,
release.
it was really quick.
It was a quick game, but I think the reason I like coming back to it is once you complete it, it does really have a lot of replayability. And another thing I liked was the DLCs released fairly fast
Right.
compared to when the game released itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the DLC packs were like full stories
Yeah, they were nice.
that had like their own world to them and everything like that. And they built upon the world that was already there, which I kind of like that too. Um, One thing I also loved about Spider-Man 2018 was the collectibles. Um,
Oh, yes. That was really cool. Like all the throwbacks. Like if you find a backpack, there could be like a vial of sand or an artifact from
yes,
the first battle with Vulture.
like I just found, and like every time you would click on one in the menu, you could hear like a paragraph of just like him voicing over like what led to this object being in the backpack, what
Right.
what led to the backpack being here. Like that was just really cool because that just led to more world building.
It really it immersed you in the game.
So that was just really really neat. And then the story itself. Now, when you replay the story, do you what are some parts of the story like just name like three parts that you liked and three parts like you kind of didn't like about the story?
All right. Well, the parts I didn't like are super easy to come up with. First
Okay.
off, NJ missions.
Yeah, no, I got to be with you
I
there.
don't want to sit there, talk to a lady, and take photographs of art for 20 minutes,
Yeah,
especially when it's like you have the weekend and it's like you can't play all day. You're like stuck doing a dumb mission instead of being Spider-Man.
exactly. No, I agree with that.
The Miles ones, again, weren't that fun, but it's like just the overall stealth as someone who wasn't Spider-Man just wasn't fun. It felt like long and dragged out.
Mm,
Um, but what I loved about the game and what I replay all the time, um, is like I don't usually do certain missions. I don't aim for them. I
yeah,
love just like swinging around the city, wall running, and seeing how fast I can go. And just the scenery is beautiful in that game for being as old as it is. Um, it was just that's what I like doing. Um, but my favorite missions are the boss battles
I get that.
because it's like the goons are fun. They really are. But the boss battles are very fun.
Yeah,
Worst thing about them is they kind of get repetitive. Like how when you fight Shocker, he just keeps doing the same thing over and over and over and
and
get
you
up.
kind of just can like counter it real easy once you know
Right.
this is gonna
Right.
happen.
And you like throw bricks at him and you
Yeah,
can beat him up, do the same thing again. Um, Kind of got repetitive.
yeah, and I feel like the boss battle for Shocker and Kingpin were kind of the same
Yeah.
because you were just throwing objects at
Exactly.
you were battling, and it's like I didn't. Why are my boss battles
The
not
same.
using any of my gadgets? And
Mhm.
it's literally just hey, throw this rock at this guy until he gets knocked out, and it was just
Exactly.
like so. And the same thing with Martin Lee's. I mean, take
Oh, right.
look
Yeah, in
like
the
literally,
train. In the train, and when you actually defeat him, it was repetitive. Like
it
throw
was way
stuff at him.
repetitive. I mean, the only boss battle that I think was worthwhile was the Doc Ock one, just because.
Ooh.
But even that had throwing. I mean, you could
Well,
light
yeah,
him
they
up
all
and
it
throw stuff at him.
yeah, now that I think about it, they all utilize throwing.
And it's like, why did you utilize it so much when you could have literally made each and every villain that you were going against so unique, and you know what I mean? You could
Yeah,
prey on their weaknesses, but you didn't do that.
yeah,
It was more of they went more of the Sigma graphic and like cinematography route of a boss battle. Like they made it
right.
look cool,
They
but the
did.
mechanics of the said boss battle were horrible.
They were definitely lacking.
So it's like, what do you do in that kind of situation?
Just kind of, I guess, fight through it and just do the same thing over and over until you
Exactly.
finish it. That's all you can do.
Um, so my three things that I didn't really like about it were I am gonna have to agree with your 2 points on the MJ and Miles missions, because one thing I didn't like about the Miles mission was they introduced like this hacking app,
Right.
and you think it's going to be like this big thing, and then it's like a one-off. You know what I mean? They don't
Right.
bring it back in
And
the
you
Miles
barely use it.
Morales game. It's literally just a one-off. Like it's a mechanic one-off. Why? Like I don't understand that. You're like, oh my god, him and his best friend created this hacking app. Oh my god, let's go. He's gonna
Yeah,
use
you
it.
use it to turn a drone off and walk by
And
dudes.
it's literally that it. They don't even like. I would have liked it if that hacking app was the app that we used in Miles Morales. Like they
Right.
like re-engineered it, and that's what like that was the groundwork for the app that we use in Miles Morales for that new UI. Which I will say this, even with Miles Morales being short, I feel like it gave them an opportunity to test out some great UIs that work great. Like one thing I didn't like, another thing, I don't know if you stated this, but another thing I hated in Spider-Man gameplay wise and story wise, I feel like that should be stated, is the crimes and how inconsistent. Like you would have to do 5 crimes,
Oh,
and
right.
they were like 4 different like you had to do thug crimes, demon crimes,
Yeah.
and there were 2 other sections I can raft crimes. And the thing I hated about them was they were so inconsistent, and you had to do 5 of each district.
Right.
But the thing I like about Miles is they build upon that by having it so if you have a crime and you can't go to it at that moment, it's saved into your phone. And if you just click on that crime on the app, it immediately pops up closest to your location, and you just go to the crime. It doesn't disappear.
Right.
Like the amount of times that when I was trying to 100% the game, like trophy wise, 2018, the amount of times I just waited at a police station for a crime to pop up was so many times. Like I would waste so many minutes doing that.
For real. It was that part was definitely tough.
It was ridiculous. Story wise, I feel like it was built very well.
It was, yeah.
There's no, I didn't really see a lot of plot holes in it, and I think um the story had a lot of subplots to it, but it all came together in the end, and I love that. And Miles's plot I didn't like, in a sense of I felt like it was very rushed.
Mm.
I feel
It's
like
like you knew who the Tinkerer was in the
yeah,
beginning.
and like there's a difference between telling us who the Tinkerer is in the beginning, and then telling us or hinting at who Doc Ock is going to be
Hmm.
at the beginning of Spider-Man. Like they hint at that, but they
That
don't blatantly tell
yeah.
us.
I do like how they hinted with Doc Ock, like he stood there with the his 4 arms
Yeah,
and then you
exactly.
had to like shut it off, but it was like that was really cool. It's like I knew it was foreshadowing, it was coming up.
Exactly.
And it wasn't like subtle, but it's not like they were like, look at it, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. So, like I was saying, Finn is a very predictable character in the sense of we get to see her as the Tinkerer like right away, and I feel like that's why I think the Miles Morales story is kind of really sped up, because there's no really foreshadowing for with her character. It's kind of just like so two-dimensional.
Right, yeah. I get that. I mean, and it wasn't really hard to figure out like that she was the Tinkerer. It's like it wasn't really well put together. It's
Yeah.
pretty shallow.
I mean, I feel like if they're going to release a game that should have been DLC, or at least that's what everybody was kind of writing it off as, because it was essentially I think at the time, $20 cheaper than the original Spider-Man 2018, and that came with DLC and everything like that. So, if you really see it like that, you see that the game was a lot smaller. And I'm not saying that they didn't put any work into it, because Miles Morales definitely did build off of 2018 Spider-Man, because the
Absolutely,
mechanics were
yeah,
better, the
absolutely.
graphics were better, and everything like that. I think that they could have done better with Finn as just a villain.
Yeah, she, I love the character, the
Yeah.
Tinkerer.
Mhm.
Super cool concept that
Yeah.
like, it was a huge betrayal of trust between his long lost best friend
Yeah.
and but it was just it was used so quickly.
Yeah.
Um, you could have at least hinted that it wasn't Finn, so it would have been a more of a surprise.
Like a
Again, I'm re-looping how it's shallow.
yeah.
But it's like you could have just made it at least a little more mysterious.
One thing I would have loved, which I thought about this for a while, was so they hinted at Simon Krieger being like a CEO villain. I would have
Right.
loved if they would have made a red herring that, like, he's not the Tinkerer, of course, because the height difference wouldn't have made sense. But make
Right.
make it so like one of his lackeys is the Tinkerer or something, and then
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
like that would have been so better than,
Yeah.
oh yeah, you find out like the third act that Finn's a tinkerer, and
Right.
you know, like, why it didn't, and it building off of maybe Miles and Finn, like, kind of not only having like a best friend relationship, like a romantic relationship, like they hinted at that in like the beginning scenes, and then
Right.
and then
Yeah.
like, yeah, I think of you as like a brother, and I'm like, but then why were you? But like, why dialogue wise in the very beginning were they hinting at that at all?
Yeah, like oh shoot, I completely forgot about that. Like they put down the fact that like it's a date and it's like and they kind of like looked at each other and
Yeah,
then they just like left that how it was. They never brought that back up. They kind of slept on that. And you know what? I completely forgot about that entire part until you just brought that back up.
yeah. I mean,
Oh,
because it's such a
yeah.
forgettable part. They don't. They mention it one time and then throw it away.
I like it. It was slept on. That would have been good.
It would have been a good twist. I feel like that would have made the twist better. I would have liked finding out Finn was the Tinkerer right away if they want if they were trying to form a romantic bond, because then you feel more of a
Right.
betrayal when it's someone like you love that way.
Right, yeah, it's the emotional buildup, and then it's like you have to fight like this person that is so like emotionally connected to you and the character, because it's
Yeah,
like as a player, you like I don't know if I'm speaking for everyone, but me as a player, I try to like connect with the character I'm playing as.
yeah,
It's more immersive, but I feel like that would have been like so much more memorable to me if
yeah.
it was more romantic.
If I feel like that also would have made, like I said, the scene that you were forgetting about until I just brought it up, that would have made that scene like more stick to us, if they would have just built upon that instead of throwing away that and then being like, no, I guess Finn thinks of them as a brother and sister, and then Miles thinks of that too towards the end of the game, and they're like, and he's like, we're family, like we don't abandon family, and I'm like, but why switching tracks all of a sudden? I don't going on. And then they at towards the end they made Finn seem more of like a vigilante than a villain. I mean,
Yeah, it was very like fluctuating on what she was.
yeah,
It wasn't like she's the bad guy because like there were multiple team ups, which I thought was kind of cool.
yeah, I liked those
Yeah,
battles. They were very cool.
yes, and when you had to fight Rhino and it was a team up,
Yeah,
um, like that was cool and all, but like bad guy, team up, vigilante. Like you
like
gotta
what
kind
is
of
it?
gotta
You know what I
choose
mean?
something every now and then.
Oh, it kept changing, and then I feel like, oh, to mention the Rhino boss battle, guess what you do in that one? You throw things at him. Don't they don't stop with that? It's different of every boss battle from 2018 to Miles Morales. They did not stop with that.
That was such a huge mechanic. I don't think the game would have been itself without it. Um,
Yeah,
I really hope they learn from their mistakes in this game and like you don't just throw tables at Craven.
Oh yeah,
Um,
imagine they're like, "Oh yeah, he's gonna throw spears at you. You gotta throw him back," and I'm like, "You gotta be kidding me,
yeah, like
dude!" I'd absolutely lose it if the first boss battle is like you meet Craven and you're just throwing spears at him. I'm like, "Okay, this is cool, great, great. We're just gonna keep, not learning from the repetitiveness we're
I
doing.
don't even want to think about that, man.
It's ridiculous, man." And then what is it? And then right after the Rhino fight, Finn goes completely like from vigilante to villain.
I know it was. I did
Like
not.
what?
It's like you choose a side.
Like she almost kills Miles, and we're like, what's going on?
It was an emotional roller coaster, but not in the good way. It was more of like the what is happening?
Exactly. I was so confused because I'm like, yeah, grief can make you do crazy things,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
at the same time, she lost her brother like months before. Like she had been on her own for months. So like, I get it if like your brother just died and like you're trying
Right.
to get over it and you're doing unreasonable things. But if it's been months, at some point you can't just blame it on grief. You are literally a psycho.
Like it's I don't like we don't understand much about her.
Yeah.
Like yeah, like you just said, like, is she a psycho or is she just like so grief ridden? I don't understand
And
why she's
they
so
don't
driven to do that.
they don't
People lose people all the time, but like
exactly.
it has to be something neurologically.
Yeah, they don't even press on that at all. I mean, we barely get to know Finn before she's the Tinkerer, like really
Right,
get to know
right.
Finn before she's the Tinkerer, and then we don't even get to know about Rick. I mean, we
Oh yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean, we're
I
told
think
about
yeah.
Rick like in a cutscene, and that's it.
No, it's like she just kind of like walked through the door. I didn't expect her as a character, which I guess was cool.
Yeah,
But it's like the only main point we build trust like emotionally with um Finn is that first scene where it's like it's a date
and
and
that's
then
so
the rest
that's
is
so
just like bad
forgettable at the
guy.
same time. That's
Right.
like okay, you're gonna root for Finn, or you're gonna get to know this new character, but then like you said, a lot of people forget about it. It
Yeah.
goes it's like one of those points that is so different from everything else in the story that you're like, why would I remember that?
Right. Yes.
I don't know. I don't get it because at least with Spider-Man, they had so many villains at the same time, but at least there was a sense of you knew these villains. Like, I don't think it like if they would have staked with the comic origin of Tinkerer and
Right.
that Miles, then you kind of could have been like, yeah, let's throw Tinkerer in here. But
Right.
when they changed her origin story, they swapped her gender, so Tinker is now a completely different person, and now she's either romantically or brotherly involved with Miles. We don't know until like the very end, where she's completely like, "Yeah, I'll blow up this plaza," and Miles is like, "Don't do that. You'll kill everyone I know, including yourself." And then for some reason, her being a villain gets thrown out the window towards the very end, and she becomes like a heroic symbol and sacrifices
Right.
herself.
I didn't understand that.
It's like she's not an anti-hero because that's not even consistent through the whole story.
Yeah, because anti-heroes, they at least like they have, I mean, not like morals, but
No.
like they do things on their own. Tinkerer, it was like I keep re-looping what I'm saying. It's
Yes.
like it's a cycle. Like
Yeah.
friend, bad guy, vigilante,
And then it
anti-hero,
just loops.
friend. Like they didn't choose anything.
It wasn't more of I feel like for her personality, it wasn't linear. It was just what person let's pick five personalities. What personality fits the current situation? It wasn't a linear personality where there was growth to it. It was let's choose one for each cutscene or for each time we see her. It's
Right,
more
right,
consistent throughout the whole game. And I feel like with a game this size, it being 10 times, a bit smaller than Spider-Man 2018, you have to have more consistency than ever because the second you
right.
don't, that's when us as fans catches it like as soon as possible. Like we will catch it so
We
fast.
will. We will. Like we're there. We're watching everything. We see everything. We know everything. You can't hide anything from us. We will find it.
Yeah.
But like you think if they knew that, they would at least, touch it up a little. Um, I don't know, man. Honestly, I feel like this is just turning into a rant about
I
like
mean, hey,
Miles.
that's what this is for, man. Hey, I mean, that's why I wanted you on because for me, I love talking with people because I could talk about these games for hours. I mean, it gets to a point where I'm like because there are just so many nitpicks. Like
It's
looking at the game,
insane.
the game is Spider-Man 2018 is 5 years old, and Miles Morales came out in 2020, so it's 3 years old. So you know what I mean? You work at that, and you're like, what the heck?
Yeah. It's just I don't know. It's just incredible to think like how far the game has come.
Yeah,
5
graphic
years
wise,
ago, you were just sitting there playing, and it's like, oh, cool, fun, Spider-Man.
exactly.
And then you're like, this has turned into a trilogy. Like, this
Yeah.
is serious.
It's the most shocking thing, and one thing I want to address is the cutscenes. You have the cutscenes 2018 and Miles Morales, and now it's now all leading up to Spider-Man 2, which is great. But one thing I didn't like about the cutscenes is I feel like they would have been better connected if they didn't just relate to Spider-Man 2. I feel like the cutscenes would have been better connected is if okay, say Spider-Man 2018 teases Finn, right? That connects to
Hmm.
Miles. Miles teases Venom a bit, and then that gets leads us into Spider-Man 2. Because one that gives us an opportunity to learn a bit about Finn or who she's going to be, or the Tinkerer. It didn't even have to be Finn. You could tease the Tinkerer in some
Right.
aspect. Because, like I've mentioned, she had been the Tinkerer for months before we met her.
Oh,
And
man,
there
I
was no
forgot
building to
about
that at
that.
all.
Uh,
So
it's just like this. There's so much to this. I'm losing thought, dude. Like, there's so much to say.
yeah.
Oh,
These games. I think the reason I like Spider-Man 2018 so much better than Miles Morales is because it's so much longer as a game that even if it
hmm,
had inconsistencies, you lose track of them because of how many moving parts there is to it. You know what I mean? You might have find an inconsistency in Act One, but then you switch to Act Two so fast that you're like, what was I complaining about again? You know what I mean? Or there's another side quest, or you know what I mean? So there's
right.
I don't know. With Miles
It's
Morales,
just,
there were
yeah.
side quests, but I feel like none of them really related to. Actually, no. Scratch that. I think Miles' side quests related more to the story than Spider-Man's because Screwball didn't connect to the main story, and neither did Taskmaster. They were kind of just one-offs. But if you talk about the time capsules and the Prowler missions, those connected the stories. You learn
Yeah,
more
yeah.
about Prowler, and then in the end, you see him, and you even battle him, and that battle connects to the story too.
I like that. That was really cool.
I think they really hit the mark on that, and I think it's because I think they realized that if we're gonna make this game a lot shorter, we have to make our side quests count because
Right.
we don't have a lot of story, so we need those to also come into the story. That way, we kind of can make this game kind of seem fleshed out. But I think in doing that, they kind of rushed the game in some aspects to the point where you had a lot of those emotional inconsistencies with characters, and then you also didn't have a lot of groundwork to kind of build upon. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So you run into that problem because it's like what's a good analogy? It's like building like a Jenga tower. You know what I mean? If your bottom's
Right.
completely blown, the whole thing's gonna collapse before you even start playing.
Right. Yeah. I like that analogy.
Thank you.
That's good.
I don't know. What are your thoughts on what I'm dishing out here, man?
My thoughts are everywhere right now. Uh, one of them is how itchy the mask is. Second is I feel like this is just like a bunch of hot takes.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. We gotta have opinions and
right? No, I like
this
it.
is a podcast before.
Yeah. Um, I just I have a question for you.
Yeah, hit me, man.
Um, how old were you when, like Spider-Man started impacting you? Has he ever
Oh
impacted
wow. Okay, that's a great question. Wow, I love the question. I'm gonna have to say like 12.
12?
Yeah. So that would
Those
have
dark
been
ages, huh?
what year? Let's see here. Born 2004. So what am I looking at here? Four. I
I,
yeah,
I can't do math
I ain't
right
doing the math right now. But no, when I was about 12, I would say between 12, 10 or 12, because that's when I started playing a lot of Spider-Man games on my PlayStation 3. And a favorite
now.
of mine, if we're going how it impact you, a favorite one of mine, Web of Shadows.
What? Why?
Shadows. Um, I'm actually replaying it right now because that introduces the whole Venom suit mechanics. So I'm
Oh,
playing that right now to kind of prep for Spider-Man 2. But I mean, it's a great game. Another favorite of mine is Shattered Dimensions.
I was about to say that. Yes, that's one of my favorites.
That game, replaying it, I'm like, this game still kind of holds up. I mean, in my opinion, I feel like the game kind of holds up. I mean, imagine if it would have gone the open world route that Web of Shadows did.
Dude,
It would have been sick. Instead
that
of,
would have been perfect.
oh my god.
Maybe I wish they would make like a remastered version, you
I've been
know?
begging for it. I've seen TikToks where it's like what would you rather, like that whole red blue or blue pill red pill thing, and you're like, what would you rather have, like this remastered or this remastered? And then one was like Web of Shadows or Shattered Dimension, and I'm like, I'd rather
Dude.
have Shattered Dimensions because I feel like
Uh,
if it were to get a remake, I feel like like I'd rather have a remake of that game than a remaster.
right, 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 right.
Kind of they're upping the graphics, but if you were to remake it from the ground up, one thing I would add is like an open world or
No, like
a better.
open world, dude, that would perfect it. Like,
Yeah. Oh my god.
dude, that and I mean, just remastering the graphics too. I want to see what that would look like.
Yeah, because the graphics.
Honestly, the graphics were good for its time. I
Oh,
mean,
for its time, I think they still hold up. Even today, I feel like they still kind of hold up. But
yeah, it's kind of its own
Web
theme.
Web of Shadows holds up mechanically wise. I don't think graphic wise. I
No.
played it through. It does not. I don't think it really holds up graphic wise. It
No.
kind of. I feel like it's one of those Spider-Man games that kind of got the boot there, the graphics department. But mechanical wise, I mean, the web swing's great. The wall running is great. Some of the combat mechanics I don't like, but that's basically it.
I
But
mean, I mean, combat's obviously going to be slower
yeah,
because it's time. I gotta say, Spider-Man has always been an inspiration to me. Like since the day I read a comic or saw I think it was Spectacular Spider-Man. That was the first kind of show I saw.
did you see my podcast episode on that, bro?
Yeah, guys, if you haven't seen that or listened to that podcast, you definitely should. I
I,
liked it. Um,
that was my
dude,
first time seeing the show.
yeah, no, it was
God,
like
it was
it
amazing.
inspired me too, because it's like he was still a kid. He was
Yes.
a kid dealing with all of this like pressure on him, and he like in a moment there, he almost choose to like. Sorry if there's spoilers, anyone.
Yeah.
Uh, but skip because there's gonna be spoiler. But like he almost ended the spider in him. Like
Yeah,
he
but the
was like,
Jinx
this
punch,
is a curse.
like, oh my god, like, and I feel like with that show shouldn't have been canceled. Oh my,
No. Ah.
decided to stop and hold production on that show and cancel it is absolute. They should be in jail because like that show has so much potential for like two more seasons, and they just cancel it, and I'm so mad.
I mean, I do like how in the Across the Spider-Verse we kind of saw that we knew Gwen had passed away.
Yeah,
It's like he was holding Gwen. So it's like that was nice how they did that.
yeah,
Sad.
like that. Like
But
it also made a lot of spectacular Spider-Man fans like mad because they're like, "Well, now you just gave us the idea again. Now you just gave us the you reignited the fire
right, right.
fighting for years. Now that we know that this could have been a possible, season 4, season 5, season 6, like
Right.
what are you hinting at here, Sony? Like what's going on? Honestly, if
But
they were to bring back the show, bring it back as a movie.
Ooh, I would
I
see
would love
that.
like a 2 year gap movie. That way you can put together what happened like with the cliffhanger at the end of the show, and then also what we saw in Across the Spider Verse. You can really
Dude,
tie that
that I
together,
would love that.
and that would be a great movie. Don't make it too long because it's animated and it's a kids movie. So make it
Right.
like I
I
would
mean, it's a kids movie, but it's still for us. So
exactly exactly. I mean,
we're kids at heart.
everybody's like, "Are you really about to watch a kid show?" Yes.
It's like, yeah, I am.
Why? Because this is
You're an
absolute.
adult man, sir. So,
I would watch that show again. Honestly, if I was just, I would watch that show again. I'm thinking about getting um it on Blu-ray and putting it on my shelf behind me and like this,
ooh,
but I just don't know how I'm gonna do that. But
I like that. I like that.
but
Um, but I think this speaks for a lot of people. Spider-Man, it's not like the reason why he and don't like I don't know this as a fact, but I'm
yeah,
pretty sure I saw this somewhere. He's the number one loved hero in America, USA.
I think I did see that somewhere. I think it's not number one loved hero, but I think it's the number one most relatable hero.
Oh, right.
And
Okay.
I think it's because a lot of kids, especially if you grew up with Spectacular Spider-Man and 1994 Spider-Man, you really see that this type of teenager is going through so much hardship, so much, he's not rich, he's not,
He's
but
broke, and he teaches us to be not better, greater. Um,
exactly.
it's like he always does the right thing, even when it's hard. He
Yeah,
doesn't stand by when someone's hurt. He's the representation of a good person.
exactly. And really the people that have done good to his stories, you really see it fleshed out. And I feel like that's one concept that if you're going to write, a Spider-Man comic book or Spider-Man video game or Spider-Man show like Spectacular Spider-Man, you really have to flesh out that concept. If you don't flesh out that concept or even have that concept in your media or in the art that you're going to produce, you're not really understanding the character you're supposed to be taking control of in that piece of media. And if you don't understand the character, that fan base, fans like me, fans like you, are going to be mad.
Right, yeah.
And I mean, what was what the recent run? I mean, I haven't read it myself, but the recent run of Spider-Man hasn't been doing that well, just because they're kind of doing their own thing. They're not really sticking to the character. But I haven't read it myself, but I just heard that they haven't been doing well with the recent run of Amazing Spider-Man because I think he for some reason from Craven got like the sins of the Green Goblin and he
What?
was like evil for a second.
I don't know what they're
I'm
doing
like,
with
what is going on?
that.
And then like another panel I saw was that like MJ cheated on him or
What?
and I'm like, what are we reading?
That
I don't
doesn't what?
Yeah, I mean the context behind that was like they were in another dimension. He got booted back to his normal dimension, and when he was gone, she cheated on him. I don't know. I don't know where the writing was going with that. That now that
Out
might
the
be
window.
extremely out of
That's where it was
concept,
going.
but I mean context. But I mean a lot of Spider-Man fans did not like. I'm trying to figure out what the artist's name was, but they did not like what he was doing with the character. They also killed off Miss Marvel in that Spider-Man run, and I'm like, what are they doing? I don't
I
know.
mean, don't get me wrong. I don't really care about Ms. Marvel.
I mean, that's fair, but like a main character like Miss Marvel should not be killed off in someone else's comic.
Right. That's
Happened
kind
in
of
her own
weird.
comic.
Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, I don't really care about her either way, but it's like,
I
yeah, in someone else's comic,
Yeah,
that doesn't really check out.
it doesn't make sense either. It doesn't. It just doesn't. It doesn't track. If
Right.
you're going to do something like that. Um, I'm trying to think right now. I mean,
Okay.
what was the most recent Spider-Man comic you read? Really?
Uh, shoot. Um, oh, come on, brain. Come on. All I know is the most recent comic I have read with Spider-Man in it is Venomized.
Okay.
Uh Shoot. Man, I'm horrible with comic book names. I forgot what number it is, but all I know is I've been reading the Venomized series
Yeah.
where it's like all of the characters in Marvel are getting symbiotes, and it's really good, guys. You can check it out.
Yeah.
Venomized. But yeah, no, I don't like religiously read the comics.
Oh, me too. I mean, I'm the type of person that like if I really want to read like a comic book run, I'll go on like YouTube and like get the audiobook of it from like a YouTube.
Right. Right.
For me, that's just like a lot better. I've always thought about like collecting comic books and like collecting a bunch of Spider-Man comics. I mean, I have a few comics myself that are just sitting on a table, but
Right.
me personally, I don't really, at least especially like recently, I really don't have the time nor the money to, go out to a comic book shop, buy like
Mm.
4 or 5 comics and then come home, see what I got, and then
Yeah.
maybe display them. I mean, the last collectible I'm gonna be getting is the 19-inch Venom statue that's actually gonna be displayed. I don't know if you can see it, but like right there behind me in the shelf behind me, I have a replica. I don't know if you can see it, but I have a replica.
It's hard through the mask.
Yeah, I also have my chair in the way, so it's very hard. But the gauntlet that Tom Holland Spider-Man wore in Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh yeah, yeah. Send
So
them
the
portal
gold
thing.
magic gauntlet. I have a duplicate of that.
Wait, really?
I have a replica. Yeah, I have a
Whoa,
prop replica.
dude, that is awesome.
Yeah,
You're
so
gonna have to show me that sometime, dude.
I'm gonna display that. I'll show. I'll do a whole like next time we do the podcast. If you want to be on the next episode, because that's gonna be, I gotta figure
Oh,
out.
I'm definitely being on the
Okay,
next.
for sure, man. Thanks so much. But next time, and I'll display this to all you guys. But next time on the podcast, I'll turn on my light and show off like the collectibles. I might actually film a TikTok after this, to be honest with you, and
Yeah.
just display everything because recently I've updated it and how it's kind of formatted. So I'd really love to show that off.
Um. Yeah. Speaking of like TikTok, no, like guys, if you ever want updates on anything, like just ask us. You know,
Honestly. I mean, me and
like
him both have a TikTok, and honestly, we know people that know also stuff about Spider-Man. I mean, me personally, I'm trying to get a lot, more integrated in the Spider-Man community, and that took me up with you, and also, I don't know if you know him. He does Spider-Man edits. Safe Lizard. I'm mutuals with him, and also a friend of his, Roman. I've been mutuals with him for a while. They both do kind of spectacular Spider-Man edits and stuff like that. If you don't, I'll send you their app. But
yeah, send them to me. But like also you and I like at least I know for me, like I try my best to like respond to people in comments or
yeah, me too.
right, like I don't I know a lot of TikTokers just like kind of like take advantage of all their followers just for likes. I don't think that's us, man. Like I
No,
love every follow I get, you know?
exactly. And I feel like with this podcast that we're filming right now, that's going to help me and your reach and get to like more people in this kind of Spider-Man community, because that's really, for me, what I want to do. I want to make my reach big enough so I can help people that are smaller creators
Right.
kind of get to the same point that, I kind of want to get to currently.
Right. Like all I want to do on my TikTok is just, motivate people, make them happy,
Exactly.
just like kind of distract them from like mundane life, live the reality that they're in the spider society, you know?
Exactly. You know what I mean? You want to make every day count. You want to really
Exactly.
let
And
people
that's the
around you.
best thing about like the Spider-Man's community.
Yeah,
Like there's not like there's not like a toxic person who likes Spider-Man. That's not the kind of crowd
exactly.
that Spider-Man attracts.
No, it isn't, because like we said earlier, like Spider-Man is like, I think, the number one most relatable character. And when you have that kind of name or title, you don't really get a bad track with that kind of character. Unless,
Right.
I'm not saying there aren't bad Spider-Man fans out there,
Right. Right. Right.
but it's very small to the point where the kind of character that it's influencing, the kind of character it is, and the kind of influence it has on people is not a bad one.
Right. No, like it's very rare to find a bad Spider-Man lover.
I
Uh,
mean, I think one bad Spider-Man, I don't know if you saw it, but I didn't see it. Me personally, just because of the person I am, Spider-Man Lotus. I'm just gonna
oh, right, right, right.
I didn't watch that just because I heard it was horrible from people who did watch it.
No, so I recently watched it. I wanted to make a review on
Yeah.
it. Dude, it's not great. The acting is a little bit from part like it's okay, words aren't warning. They're not great at acting.
Yeah.
Uh it's like the fight scenes are like so little and aren't that great.
Yeah.
The CGI for like YouTube, that was really good.
Okay.
But it was just a bad story in general. It's not worth your time, guys.
And I feel like if it would have been made by like, different people, and I'm the type of person that will, separate the art from the artist, but I feel like in this case you kind of can't do that. Yeah,
Right.
I'm willing to review it if I heard great stuff, but at the same time, because of what they did, you can't really separate the art from the artist in that kind of.
Right. I heard a little about what the actor of Peter Parker
Yeah.
was racist.
Yeah, and so was the director.
Right. That's a shame, dude. It's
It really
like,
is because like they had such a great backing behind them before that all
right.
got out. Like they I think like older Spider-Man actors were backing them up. If you have that type of backing up, you, you're now on the face of everywhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you're now in the Spider-Man community have a big, spotlight on you that if you make one mistake, we will catch it.
Right.
And we
And
did.
it's like you were, it's a shame,
It
man.
really is. It
It
really
might have been a good movie. It's like it depends. Like I sometimes I'll separate the actor from the film, but in this case, I can't do that.
No, I completely agree, and I'm the same way.
Like in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, this actor that's playing this awesome dude, Peter Parker, like is racist. Like I can't like
You can't separate that, and
right,
and I feel like you run into kind of a wall because what I didn't like was them being ignorant about it in a sense of they were kind of trying to play it off like, well, they first tried to play it off like it was no big deal, and then when the movie was about to release in August, they tried to play it off like they were sorry, but that it also wasn't a that big of a deal and two didn't exist to them. You know what I mean? They
right,
weren't focusing on the problems. They were focusing on here's our film, enjoy it.
right,
And then the film you produce, if the film would have been groundbreaking, I feel like you still wouldn't have been forgiven. But and it wasn't. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Wasn't anything that shocked us. It wasn't like spectacular Spider-Man good. That's the
right.
only thing I feel like that would have maybe given you some like, oh, maybe oh my, like Spider-Man Lotus wasn't that. No, it was horrible.
Like when you're in a mask and a suit,
Yeah,
you have to rely like when you're acting, you have to rely on emotion through your
exactly.
face. The character Peter Parker in that he just kind of stood there and talked. If he were sad, mad, or excited,
Yeah,
he was the same.
you
Um,
can't tell that. You know what I mean?
like Peter Parker in No Way Home, he's expressive because like you can't see his face, so he's expressive with his voice and arms. But in this, he was just sitting there. It was weird.
I feel like a great way Spider-Man actors do the whole expressive thing is with what you've been messing with all podcasts, the lenses. I mean,
Dude, I
if you have the adjustable lenses, you can really like convey emotion so well without actually conveying. You know what I'm saying?
right, yeah. No, I'm also doing it because I think it looks dumb. Does it?
You're good, man. You're good. I do love the mask though. I have a Miles Morales one, but I couldn't find it for the podcast. But next time we both should get like a
Dude,
thumbnail picture for the next one with both of us in our masks. That looks so sick.
that would so right now all I have is just this little mouth guard. I don't have the face mask, like
Yeah.
the full shell.
That why
I
is that
just
why it kind of feels uncomfortable with the
Yeah, yeah, and it like see how right here is a crease? It
yeah.
shouldn't do that. Because this is supposed to be the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man.
Oh, that's sick.
And it's supposed to be like this, you know? It's more
Yeah,
comic
yeah,
accurate, and I like that. But it kind of creases without
yeah.
the
I see
shell.
that right there because you
So
want the mask to kind of keep them both.
right, you know, so it's kind of just like his eyes are on the front of his head, sort
Yeah,
of like that. But you know, beggars can't be choosers. Also, I like being in the mask, so
got it. Yeah, I get that. No, but like I said, I appreciate you on here.
dude, thank you for asking me on, man.
Dude, 100%, dude. And I feel like this proves a point that I brought up to a friend of mine that I think I do better if I have someone to bounce off of because
Right.
that just conveys the conversation. I mean, I don't know what episodes of my podcast you saw, but if you look at the Flash one, that's like the shortest one I have. And I think that's one because I didn't appreciate the movie that much because of what the actor did. And I'm not really going to go into that. You guys can check that out on my podcast episode. But
It
also
was
because
good. It was good.
yeah, I thought it was all right. It wasn't my best work, but also that was also like my third episode.
You're
So
starting small, man. You know.
exactly, exactly. But I am gonna wrap things up here. Webhead, I am so glad to have you on here, and I'm glad that we could discuss some Spider-Man things and also 2018 and Miles Morales. So thank you again
Thank you.
for being on here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I know our topics were all over the place, but I really enjoyed this. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, man. You have a great one.
You too.